He hungry. Why he hungry for? Ain't it food to eat?
It is, but it's just like come around trying to get a few dollars, acting like they want to work, but really scared of YB.
Scared
A lot of scared of YB, bro.
Sit back and relax, because today we're diving deep into the real reason people are actually scared of NBA YoungBoy. And I'm not talking about fans or rivals in the streets. I'm talking about the people closest to him, his own circle. This isn't about his reputation or what he raps about. It's about the energy he carries. The kind that makes grown men too scared to even say they're hungry. Yeah, you heard that right. It'll be by the time you finish this video, you'll understand exactly why even his homies move carefully around him. Let's break down why NBA YoungBoy's presence is so intimidating. The aura that makes people uncomfortable. See, YoungBoy isn't just another rapper acting tough for the cameras. There's something deeper, an aura that instantly puts people on edge. Even when he's calm, he's lived through trauma most people can't imagine: violence, loss, constant danger. And when you've been through that much, your body never really powers down. You start living on high alert, like your survival mode never turns off. That kind of energy, you can feel the second he walks into a room that it's not something he forces. It's just there to mix of pain, paranoia, and power that everyone around him picks up on without a word being said. The psychology behind that energy. When you've had a fight to survive, literally, your brain rewires itself. You stop relaxing. You stop trusting calm moments. Every sound, every look feels like a potential threat. So your energy becomes sharp, defensive, unpredictable. That's YoungBoy. Even when he's just chilling, his mind still scanning for danger, his nervous system still in fight or flight mode, and that tension spreads to everyone nearby. People feel it. Even if he's doing nothing, it's like standing next to a storm that hasn't started yet. When fear meets hunger. Now here's where it gets wild. Point one of his close friends. Chopper Boy once told a story about a guy staying at YoungBoy's house. This man was so scared of YoungBoy's energy, he didn't eat for 2 days. Point two. Oh, days. Not because there was no food, but because he was too afraid to say, "Yo, I'm hungry." Think about that at a grown man starving himself because he didn't want to risk how YoungBoy might react. That's not normal fear. That's psychological power. And when YoungBoy finally found out, he was actually shocked. He couldn't believe it. He was like, "Why didn't you just ask, bro? You could have told me." To him, he was being chilled, T.O. everyone else. His vibe was so intense they'd rather starve than speak up. What this says about YoungBoy. That's the craziest part. He probably doesn't even realize how strong his energy is. He's not trying to scare people. It's just who become after surviving so much. He's built different, molded by pain, danger, and loss. But that survival energy has a side effect. People around him can't relax. They feel like one wrong word could flip the whole mood. So yeah, maybe he's calm. Maybe he's quiet. But deep down, everyone in the room knows if things go left, it could go really left. And that's why even his closest people treat him like he's both their friend and their biggest fear. The snake incident. When accidents meet anxiety. But that was just the beginning. Because the next story shows exactly how people really act around NBA YoungBoy. Oh, picture this. A cameraman is filming at YoungBoy's house, right? Everything's cool until this dude accidentally steps on YoungBoy's pet snake. Not just any pet, an expensive, exotic snake that YoungBoy actually cared about. Now imagine that moment. The whole room freezes. Nobody moves. Nobody breathes. Because everyone knows this would go bad fast. The cameraman standing there, terrified he just killed YoungBoy's pet. And everyone else is looking at YoungBoy, waiting for that reaction. The one they've all heard stories about. But here's the twist. YoungBoy didn't flip out. He didn't yell. Didn't throw anything. Didn't get violent. He just looked at the guy and said something like, "It's cool, bro. It was an accident." And just like that, the tension disappeared. Everyone went back to normal. The contradiction, calm reaction, intense fear. That moment says a lot about who YoungBoy really is. Because the truth is, he's more reasonable than people give him credit for. He handled it like an adult. But the fact that everyone expected chaos, that's where the real story is. Oh, you see, it's not always about what YoungBoy does. It's about what people think he might do. His reputation and energy walk into every room before he does. People around him are tense, guarded, and overly careful. Not because he's threatening them, but because they've seen that other side before or heard enough stories to never want to see it again. So even when he's chill, everyone's walking on eggshells. watching what they say, how they move, try not to be the one who sets them off. And that has to be exhausting. For him, too. Imagine trying to be normal when everyone around you treats you like a ticking time bomb. The psychology behind it. Here's what's really going on. When you survive multiple attempts on your life, when you've had to make life or death choices before you were even grown, your brain doesn't just forget that. You develop what's called hypervigilance, a constant, subconscious readiness for danger. It's a trauma response that keeps you alive in the streets, but it makes normal life almost impossible. That young boy's body might be sitting on a couch, but his mind is still in a war zone, always scanning, always calculating, always ready for something to go wrong. That energy doesn't need words. People feel it when he walks into the room. The air gets heavier. The vibe shifts. Everyone straightens up. Even if he's laughing, even if he's smiling, you can tell deep down he's ready for anything. The unpredictability factor. And that's the thing that scares people most. You never know which young boy you're going to get. Point 1 minute, he's joking around, playing video games, completely normal. The next, something tiny sets him off. It's not that he wants to explode. It's that his nervous system's wired for survival. When you've lived in chaos, small problems can feel like big threats. And that unpredictability creates a type of tension that never really goes away. People close to him say it's like walking through a minefield. You don't know where to step, so you just move carefully, hoping not to trigger anything. The isolation that comes with fear. And here's the tragic part. That fear keeps young boy alone. Because when people are scared of you, they can't be real with you. They can't joke around, argue, or relax. They're always filtering themselves. And young boy, he probably feels that he probably wants genuine friendships. People who see him as a human, not a threat. But his own energy, his reputation, his trauma. It all builds this invisible wall between him and everyone else. So the cycle keeps spinning. People fear him. He feels isolated. The tension grows. People fear him even more. That's what trauma does. It keeps you alive, but it also keeps you alone. Street mentality in civilian spaces. At the end of the day, young boy's biggest strength, his survival instinct, is also what makes people uncomfortable around him. He brings that street mentality everywhere he goes. Always ready. Always alert. Always giving off that vibe that says, don't test me. And the truth is, that energy might have saved his life in the past, but now it's the very thing that keeps everyone at a distance. The real reason people fear NBA YoungBoy. In the streets, you have to make people think twice before they ever try you. That's survival. But when you bring that same energy into your home, into a studio or a business meeting, it creates something else, tension. People who didn't grow up in that kind of world don't know how to move around that type of energy. And the wild part? Young boy probably doesn't even notice he's doing it. For him, staying alert, projecting strength, that's just normal. But to everyone else, it feels like being around someone who's ready for war, even when there's no battle to fight. That's why the hunger story hits so hard. The dude who was too scared to ask for food wasn't reacting to young boy's words. He was reacting to his energy, that unspoken tension that says, don't test me. Even though young boy wasn't threatening him, the vibe alone created fear where none was meant to exist. The loyalty test through fear. Here's something deeper. That fear might actually work as a loyalty test. The people who stay despite being scared, the ones who learn how to move around his moods, the ones who don't run when things get intense, those are the ones who earn his trust. Because in young boy's world, loyalty is everything. And sometimes loyalty means surviving his storms. But the problem is, that kind of loyalty isn't built on love or respect. It's built on fear. And fear might keep people close, but it never makes them genuine. Real loyalty comes from care, not caution. The media amplifies the fear. Then there's the media. Every arrest, every beef, every headline, amplified, sensationalized, replayed 1,000 times. By the time people actually meet young boy, they've already made up their minds. They've seen the mugshots, the viral clips, the stories that make him sound like a ticking time bomb. That builds a self-fulfilling prophecy. People expect him to be dangerous, so they act scared, and that fear frustrates him, which only makes the tension stronger. It's hard to be gentle when everyone treats you like a monster. The truth? Young boy probably has both sides, violent and kind, dangerous and deeply human. But the media only shows one version to SO. That's the one people believe. Fear is a business asset. Now, in some ways, being feared actually works in his favor in an industry full of snakes. Having a dangerous reputation keeps people from playing with you that nobody's trying to cheat or disrespect YoungBoy. They know better. That kind of presence protects him, but also isolates him. Because when people are scared of you, they don't tell you the truth. They don't challenge you. They don't tell you when you're wrong. And that's how bad decisions happen. Not because you're incapable, but because everyone's too afraid to speak up. The hunger story proves that. If someone's too scared to ask for food, you can bet they're too scared to speak their mind about business. The psychological toll. And here's what almost nobody talks about. How draining it must have to live like that. T.O. constantly carry that armor. T.O. always projects strength. T.O. never let your guard down. Because weakness once meant danger. That takes a toll. The YoungBoy probably just wants peace sometimes. To chill, to laugh, to feel safe. But trauma doesn't let you relax. He's trapped in the same energy that once protected him. It's like he's stuck inside a persona that saved his life. But now it's keeping him alone. The fact that he was genuinely confused about the hunger situation proves it. He didn't mean to scare anyone. He probably thought he was being a good host. But his natural intensity created fear anyway. That disconnect between his intentions and people's reactions probably happens all the time. He might just be trying to be friendly. But people feel the storm behind the smile. The cycle of violence and fear. This is a cycle that's hard to escape. When you grow up surrounded by danger, fear becomes your language. If people are scared of you, they won't cross you. That's survival. But when that same energy follows you everywhere, into your home, your relationships, your career, it becomes a cage because the people who fear you can't love you. And the people who don't fear you might be just as dangerous as you. So you end up stuck in the middle, surrounded, but alone. The real reason people fear NBA YoungBoy. At the end of the day, people fear YoungBoy because he carries something they can feel but can't explain. It's not an act. It's not just a reputation. It's real survival energy. He's lived with things most people couldn't even imagine. And that energy doesn't fade just because you made it out. The hunger story and the snake incident show the same truth. People expect the worst from him, even when he's being calm. They react to their own fear of him, not his actions. And here's the tragedy. YoungBoy's just as trapped by that fear as everyone else. He can't fully connect with people because they're too tense around him. He can't show weakness because the world expects power. He can't just be normal, even when he wants it. That's what trauma does. IT doesn't leave scars. It changes the way you move through every room, every friendship, every breath. So yeah, people are scared of NBA YoungBoy. Not because he's always dangerous, but because he carries the weight of everything he's survived. And that kind of energy, you can feel it long before he even says a word. Cap. If you made it this far, you're a real one to make sure to like, comment, and subscribe.